Here it is, a fingering last mitten that you can slide the top, or you can slide your thumb to use your phone, using fingering weight yarn and a few more pieces. So let's start. Hello everyone, let's knit, let's walk mittens. This is a free pattern. You can grab the PDF file down below, either on Ravelry or Lovecraft. You can see their information like gauge. We're seeing a gauge, 32 stitches in 4 inches, 10 centimeters. So it's in the 1 inch would be 8 stitches. But if you're first time knitting anything, just maybe follow what I'm doing. We have 4 sizes, and to make sure that you're knitting the right size for yourself, just use a meter and check your circumference. As you can see, my hand is 7.5 inch. So for me to have it nicely fitted, I should knit size 2, and the mittens comes with a negative ease of 1 inch, because when you knit anything, the yarn has tendency to stretch anyway. So it depends. If you like loose mittens, like this one is size 3, you may like that you have a bit of a room inside, then go one size bigger. Next thing, we have materials, so we need needles, and you can use DPNs, you can use long circular needles like these ones. You may need them for the thumb that we're going to knit, so I'm going to keep them, but I'm going to show you how to knit them on 9 inch, so 23 centimeters circular knitting needles. And the size over here is US size 1, which is 2.25 millimeters. So try with these, knit a bit, see how it goes. If it's too small, maybe go slightly bigger size, so maybe US size 1.5 and 2.5 millimeters. The next thing is that for size 3, I used 45 grams, so we'll try to find leftovers or even new skein to have that many at least. And then in the yarn we're talking about a fingering, so sock weight yarn. Over here for these beauties I used different dyer, and now I found something like this. And just to compare, the one that I knitted had on the information over here 100 grams, 462 yards, 422 meters, and that's quite important information. So I'm trying to see, is it quite close? So I have 463 yards, which is 423 meters. Very, very close. But, you know, if you have over here 400 meters, so 430 yards, you know, that's still fingering sock weight yarn. So go for it too. If you want to have contrast color ribbed cuff, like we're talking about this part here, my idea to have it in different color, because so when it's on the table, you know how to grab it, what is the bottom, what is the top of the mitten. And for that I'm going to use this beautiful gray. Hopefully I picked light colors so you will be able to see what I do. Then abbreviations, so everything there is used in the pattern that I'm going to go through and read it. So do it too, just to have a clue what's going on. No worries, I'm going to show you that in a while. So at the end of the day, if you kind of feel okay, you do not have to print this page, but the most important one is the second one. There's only 2 pages. Page number 2, so the last one with all directions. I'm going to update the pattern once this video comes up, so there will be a link to this tutorial. And then information over here that we have, I like to put boxes so you can tick them while you're knitting along. So next one is that you should cast on a certain number of stitches. So once we pick the size we want to knit, I want to knit a size 2, I'll be looking all the time in the second digit over here. So that's how many stitches I need to cast on. There is information I can use German twisted cast on, and there is a video tutorial link over here if you want to see how it's done. Obviously if you follow this I'm going to show you anyway, so I'm just saying. The next part will be we're going through the cuff, then thumb gusset, then we will knit a hand, then hand ribbing, and we'll go back to thumb and ribbing and thumb, and we will have bind off and finished first mitten. So let's start. Okay, so let's take the yarn, and then we'll have to get a long tail for the German twisted cast on. If you feel it's a little bit too much for you, maybe you can use a long tail cast on. It's quite similar, it doesn't have just 2 moves, let's say that way. So what I like to do, I like to pick the needle that I'm going to knit with, and I'm going to wrap maybe 26 wraps. That'll be half of the stitches I will be knitting. So 1, 2, So that's approximately 26 stitches. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to double it up. And then a bit. And this is it. So the yarn coming from the top, it's from the ball. And then from the bottom, it's from the tail. Okay, so I'm going to grab it. And first I'm going to go inside and outside just to twist. Then I'm going to go under into the lake, grab the yarn and pull it through. Okay, so let's do it together. We go under the lake, into the lake, move the thumb, grab the yarn and put it in. And again, under, into the lake, grab the mountain, pull it. Under, into, grab, pull. And we're going to do as many stitches you need for your size. Now, I hope you have it done. Pause if you haven't, and once you count your stitches, recount them again, like I do now. Once you have it done, try to slide your stitches around your needle. And just remember, the first time will be always hard. You will feel the tension. So you feel them very stretched on the cable. The next thing, we're looking for a marker. Marker is something that it could be a fancy like this, or it could be any loop with a different color of the yarn, just to put it to mark the beginning of the round. Let's see what the pattern tells us to do. So in the calf, we're going to knit rounds 1 till 10, so 10 rounds. And we have option 1 or option 2. So you can pick what kind of cuff you would want to have. You either knit 1, purl 1, and you repeat that to end of the round, or the option 2 will be that you're knitting 2 stitches and then you purl 2 stitches and you repeat that. And length of the calf is approximately 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters long. So if you're happy with that, you can do whatever you want. I think I go with option 2. I will knit 2 and purl 2. There are a few things to focus on. First, make sure that you have a yarn coming from the ball that you're going to use. Second, make sure that the stitches are not twisted. So what I'm talking about, that the edge of this cast on is inside of the loop. So do you see it? Stitches are on the cord and this thing is around. You may ask, how would it look if it was twisted? Well, let's see. For instance, like this. And the edge is going over here, but then it twists it and then goes over here. So I know that I have to move it like this. Okay, double check this and let's start. Just to let you know, with the 52 stitches, it's quite tight on the 9 inch. So you could go with a magic loop, but let me show you how to do it on those little bits. So now let's do knit 2. So I'm putting the needle in, wrap the yarn and pull it through. Now take the needle, take the stitch off the needle. And again, we're going for the second one. The hardest part is now to take the stitch off. So I did 2 knits. Now 2 purls. Oh, let's see if I can stretch it even more. Now the yarn is in the front. Put the needle through, wrap the yarn and pull it through. And again, put the needle, wrap the yarn and pull it through. So I did 2 knits and 2 purls. And we're going to repeat that for 10 rounds. Once you finish the round, you may notice that it's way easier now to maneuver stitches around your needle. But as I said, I casted on 52 stitches. 44 stitches could be too small for this. And with this one, we're just going to move the marker. Remember to grab the proper yarn from the ball and continue to get 10 rounds. Once you finish each round, cross the box. And remember, come back to it when you'll be knitting a second mitten. And once you finish first round, cross the other way. Now, so as you can see, I have finished 10 rounds of knit 2, purl 2, and I'm going to cut the yarn and join the new one. Obviously, if you're not happy with the length of this ribbing, you can make it longer. Remember then that you may need more yarn for it. But you know, if you have a bowl like this, do not worry, go for it. Okay, so let's change the color. Double check the pattern. So the pattern says change color if necessary, and we have round 11 till 20 knit. So we'll be going just knitting in the round, and in the bracket it says or knit until you reach a desired length. In my pattern I have it shorter because I don't like when I have a watch on my hand for a mitten to cover my watch. So I make it shorter, but if you like it longer, you can make it longer. Just remember whatever I stated over there, that you need 45 grams of all yarn. To knit the mitten, you may need a little bit more, but if you have a full skein like me now, you should not worry. So let's do this. Okay, let's leave a bit to wave in and later on. I'm going to drop this one, and now I'm going to take the yarn from the ball, a new color, pull it through the first stitch, leave a longer tail, grab the yarn from the ball and just knit 10 rounds. Okay, as you can see, I did 10 rounds. And if you're knitting it for the first time, I recommend you to take the box after each round. In case you want to count them yourself, there are V stitches. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a 10th on the needle. Although, like I said, you can have it longer if you want to, so go for it if you need it. At this stage also, you can put the hand through your knitting and see, does it fit you. You may need someone else to help you to hold the needles because the stitches can come off the needles. So over here, I'm kind of happy with it. Now, oopsie, let's say that a few stitches went off my needles, and what to do now. So what I want to do, I want to catch them with the right and put it on the left, so the right leg is in front of us. Then check how many ladders do we have. I can see that I have a long ladder which goes to 2 stitches, but I have a tiny ladder just under 1 stitch. So I'm putting that ladder on the needle and pull it through. I'm putting the longer ladder on the needle and I'm pulling through. Then I'm putting the ladder again on the needle and pull it through. Slide back and just check, do I have any ladders in the back? No, I don't. So that means I fixed it. Yay! Next stage is thumb gusset number 2, and as you can see, we'll be working 6 rounds and then we'll be repeating only round 5 and 6. So let's see. In the first one, it says that we need to make one left and place marker. So we need an extra marker. So I have a marker over here. As I said, it can be any loop, any fancy things like this. If you're looking for it, check my shop. Okay, let's do it. So let's make one left. Let's check abbreviations. An abbreviation, I state that you insert your left needle under the bar from the front to the back. So let's do it that way. So we're doing this. And then we're going to knit through the back loop. So like this. That's that. We'll be going to use it later on, so I'm going to show you a slightly different way you can lift that bar and explain you what you need to look at. So let's do it this way first. Place the marker and then knit to the end of the round. So increased 1 stitch. So we knit second round, and then we're going to go to round 3, which is knit front, back front. Check abbreviations. We're going to knit into front leg of the stitch. Do not take the stitch off the needle. Knit through the back loop of the same stitch and knit again through the front loop of the same stitch. We will increase 2 stitches. So I'm going to move the marker, and as you can see, I have 1 stitch. I'm going to do something that I'm going to get an extra 2 stitches. So between those 2 markers, I should end up with 3 stitches overall. So we're going to knit through the front leg of the stitch, and we're not going to take the stitch off the needle. Now we're going to knit through the back loop, back leg of the stitch, and we are not going to take it off the needle. And we're going to knit it through the front leg of the stitch, and now we'll be taking out the needle. So as you can see, at this stage between one marker and another marker, we have overall 3 stitches. Now we just knit till the end of the round. Now round 4, knit and repeat that till the end of the round. Have you done it? Don't forget to tick. Okay, let's focus now on round 5 and round 6 because they are very important. Actually just round 5 because we'll be increasing. In the round 6 we'll just knit in a round. So let's see. First thing what you're going to do is you make one right. We haven't done it yet, so let's read it. Make one knit stitch leaning right, using the bar between the last stitch on the right needle and the first stitch on the left needle. Insert your left needle under the bar from back to front. Knit the bar through the front loop as a normal stitch. So check it out. So we are going to lift this bar using the left needle from the back to the front. And we're going to knit through the front because we don't want this loop. If I knit through it, there'll be a hole. And we don't want that hole, so I'm going to knit through the front leg. Can you see this bar underneath now? It's creating a loop that this yarn is going through. I'm going to done that, so I make one right, and I need to knit until marker, and then make one left and slip marker. Let's knit until the marker, and hopefully you do remember what it says to make one left. Make one left. We're going to put the left needle under the bar from the front to the back and knit it through the back loop. So that way the stitch is crossed. Slip the marker and knit in around. So let's check how many stitches do we have between markers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 overall. Now I have done round 5 and I'm going to do round 6, which is a knit. And because we're going to repeat round 5 and 6 until you have a certain number of stitches, I will tell you more about it in a sec. Let's see how the knitting looks before I start round 6. So in case you stop knitting, you have to make yourself a tea or something, and you come back and you don't know that you increase or did you knit actually round, check, do you have a bar between 2 needles? And over here we don't have a visible bar. So let's knit around. I'm going to show you how the bar actually looks like. So in case you leave your work for a sec and you come back to it, you'll know where you're at. Now you can see I finished round 6 and this is how it looks. You could see a visible bar, and if you see that bar, you know that you should do round 5. Okay, so let's focus on the second part. It says repeat round 5 and 6 until you have those numbers, right, of stitches from the start of the round to the marker for the thumb gusset. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you in a sec, but very important stuff. Even though you know this is size 1, 2, 3, 4, I would say check the thumb size. And here in inches and in centimeters, you have your thumb circumference. So basically you can grab a measuring tape and go around your thumb and see your size. So I have 2, 2.5. I could go to size 2.1. Unless I want to have a tight fit, I could go with 17. So just to be aware that even though we have this number of stitches, once we finish the thumb gusset, when we'll be picking up stitches to start knitting a thumb, we will be adding extra 3 stitches to that number. So it will be 16, 20, 24, and 28. That should give you a nice fit. Therefore, I can think, should I increase to the 17 or 21? Because I'm between those two. But I'm going to go and stick to 17. What we're doing over here, in a while you're knitting, you should see that you're creating like an upside down triangle, making more stitches between your markers. I'm knitting and I'm thinking that I'll tell you a few things also. So basically in this pattern, because we're creating an upside down triangle, one side leans to the right, another one leans to the left. And that's where you can always remember that on this side you will do make one right, and on this side make one left. As we said, you can lift the bar from the left needle, but you can also do it with the right needle. And now when I do this, I need to only remember what I need to do. So basically, when I want to make right, I'm knitting through the front loop. And when I'm knitting on the left, I'm knitting through the back loop. Also, I need to remember that I do not want to have holes. So the way my bar needs to go on the needle is the way that when I knit it will not create a hole. So for instance, I put it like this and I know I have to knit in the front will create the hole. I know I put it wrong, so I have to have it this way. So when I knit it through the front loop, I will get this bar twisted, not a hole. Second of all, I think also to remember, so when you want to lean on the right, you need to knit right way, and the right way to knit is knit through the front loop. So that's also another thing that you can remember what to do. So if you're on the left, it's not the right way to knit the stitch, so you knit it through the back loop. I hope that helps. Now I got to the number of stitches I want to have between my markers. So this is my thumb gusset. At this point it will be really good if you put the mitten on your hand and see where that bottom of the triangular lies. And either you will know that you need to knit a little bit to get to this part of your hand. Now, even make it easier, I draw my hand over here. So if I place it when you see my wrist is, right? So we're talking about here. I want to have a ribbing, and then in this section is my thumb gusset. So we shall see, do I miss anything until to reach this point? Because I would have to, let's do this now, increase until I reach this. So let's see. So let's place it. Roughly, I actually guessed, easy, that I will need to knit a little bit more to reach this section. Roughly, if I want to know how many rounds I would want to knit over here, basically what I can do, I can place my knitting next to it and check the stitches. For instance, we know that the ribbing took 10 rounds and it's roughly the same height, so I will need to knit 10 rounds. I show you over here. So that should cover this nicely now. So now we're working with the number 3 hand, and it says put stitches for thumb gusset on scrap yarn using tapestry needle. So this is what we're going to do. As you can see, I moved the beginning of the round. I have tapestry needle, and I'm going to transfer those stitches on that scrap yarn. Pull the yarn, grab one, and just maybe make a little knot that you can undo later on. You can use this scrap for the second mitten. Gentle, move it away, and now remove marker and it says you knit to the end. So see, this is a perfect thing for your thumb. Now keep the stitches close, and we're going to knit one, pull the yarn, knit a second, pull the yarn, knit the third, pull the yarn, so it's tight and nice. And then, as it says, just knit in the round. And from now on, we're going to move to the other information, which is says that we'll repeat round 1, so knitting in a round, until the hand section is 1 inch, so 2.5 centimeters, shorter than your hand length. I like it in my situation will be up to my little finger. So from now on, I'll be just knitting in around until I get from here till here. And I'll see you then. Now, hello. So where are we? Well, I did hand. I just added up over here before I started the hand. I had 10 rounds. Write that down if you have 10 rounds too, because you will have to knit a second one of these. And then we have a hand, and I write down to knit it until you 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters, whichever you operate, shorter than your hand length. So I did 40 rounds. I wrote it down too, because you never know when I'm going to start the second one. So this is how it looks. I maybe put it on so you can see it. Okay, let's check it out. This is how it looks. That's why I like to have a short cuff, because of my watch. But if you want longer one, you can definitely do it. Check it out how it looks over here. You could see that those thumb decreases, and then it's standard knitting. And we have 40 rounds. To count 40 rounds, if you put your knitting like this, you could see those V's, and especially you can see them when we have this section. So let's skip those, and you just start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on, so on, so on, until you get to 40. It is very handy to have a progress keeper, so something like with this little bit. Maybe check links down below, you might find something over there in my links, and just mark that you do 10, you mark. You can move then when you get 20, you move when you get 30, so you know it's 30, and so on, so on. So I'm just letting you know what I got. Next stage is a hand ribbing, and it says rounds 1 till 10, knit 1 per 1. Repeat to the end of round. Obviously, it's 1 inch, so 2.5 centimeters, but if you want longer, go for it. And then we will be using Tubular Bind Off, and the video tutorial link is over here. So you just click on it on your computer, and how finishing the round. I'm going to show you a slightly extra bit how to join the round together, so definitely stay tuned for that too, but I'll be showing you that anyway. I'm not going to change the color, but you can, obviously you can do all the stripy and different bits leftovers, because I want to maintain that the bottom is different than the top. Okay, so I've done my 40 rounds, and I marked it over here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do knit 1 and purl 1. So we're going to knit, wait, you're going to knit, and we're going to purl. And just to let you know now, I'm not good at it. And purl, like this. Because I'm continental style and I like to mix things, and then this pattern doesn't really make a big difference, I like to do purling different way. I call it PC, so I'm going to do it this way this time, which means that on the wrong side, all those purls on the wrong side will be knit stitches, but they will be twisting knit stitches. Just saying, so you can continue with a standard purl, and I would suggest you to do that. I will be a little bit lazy over here and doing different way, so maybe again I'm going to show you how it looks. The right way of doing a purl, you wrapped it over, so you wrapped it anti-clockwise over here, drop it down and pull it here. My way of knitting is doing clockwise, so basically I'm just going all the way around, so I'm just taking the yarn. Just saying. Obviously for the pattern and lace knitting, I will need to focus and do a proper purl, because it will change the look of it if I do it my way. Just saying. Anyway, we'll be doing that in around for 10 rounds. See you then. Now, once you have a hand ribbing done, 10 rounds or more, whichever you prefer, the next part is to do a tubular bind off. You have a video tutorial over here, which is a short video, so check it out if you want to. I'm going to show you now how to do it. To do a tubular bind off, we will be working with tapestry needle, and we'll need some yarn to do that. So what we're trying to do, I like to kind of put a hand into a working item. It could be a sock, as over here is a mitten, and round the yarn 3 times. 1, 2, 2, and 3. And cut the yarn. Put it on tapestry needle. At this stage you can take your marker. Now let's look at your knitting, and you could see a knit column, a purl column, a knit column, a purl column, a knit column. It's quite good if you can recognize this. First things first, yarn in front of you, and we're going to slip the stitch knitwise, and then the second stitch on the needle, going to put the needle through and pull. Now we're going to slip the stitch purlwise and put the needle between 2 stitches. The last, we're going to put tapestry needle through the stitch over, as you could see, the purl stitch. Try to make it tight. So let's do that one more time. We'll move the yarn forward over here, and as you can see, we start on the knit column. So we slide the stitch knitwise, and we put the needle through the second stitch, like this. Tight. Pull the yarn. Now put the needle through as if you would purl. Slide the needle off and put the needle through, and put the needle between 2 stitches and pull the yarn. Now the last, double check that you have a purl column, and now knitwise put the needle, tapestry needle, through the stitch and repeat. You got to 2 stitches and you don't know what to do. Let's check it out. So what do we have over here? We have 1 stitch over here and another stitch over here. Do you see it? So what we're going to do, we're going to slide 2 stitches of the needle, and now we're looking for 2 other stitches. So the first one is over here. We're going to grab it from the behind, and then we're looking for the next one over here. Do you have those 4 on your needle? Lovely. Now let's slide it back to the knitting needle. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have 4 stitches on the needle, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. So we're going to slide the needle as if to knit and put the needle through the second stitch as if to purl. Then as if to purl, we're going to slip the stitch and pull it through between 2, tight, and then, whoops, and then as if to knit, pull the tapestry needle through the second stitch and take off 2 needles, 2 stitches out the needles. And what the next you can do, you can just weave in ends. Let me show you how I do it. So as you can see, I'll try to go back to this column because we have this yarn from the tapestry needle. So I'm going to go back to it to kind of support it a little bit better. Not too tight, just to have it done. And then I will just pull the needle through the column. Personally, I like to do it through the end, and then when you see the purl bump over here at the end on the bottom of the knit column, I like to put this needle through the 2 stitches, and then from the bottom up 2 stitches and down, like waving in. That's it. Cut the yarn. Now check it out how neat this bind off is, and still how stretchy it is. Next, thumb. To knit the thumb, you will need to take a different needle than this one. It will not work. We need to have a longer cable. Now, a different location, what we're going to do next is a 0.5 thumb, and it says transfer stitches from scrap yarn to needles. So I'm going to use now bigger needles. By bigger, I'm not saying about size, I'm talking about the cord, so longer. You don't have to have such a long cord. I hope you can see it. It's just, it works, so there's no need for me to get smaller. Anyway, so as you can see over here, I have a scrap yarn and I have stitches. So I need to undo the knot, and I did it very gently, so remember that. Lovely. No worries, nothing happens. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to just bend it like this and figure out just to take ish half of the stitches on one side and on the other. So how do we do this? You see this? You can see how I do it. I'm just moving stitches on the needle. You're doing that too? Hopefully you do. Very good. And you see I have a bit. So now I can grab the yarn, the contrast color from the scrap, just to get it out over here. So do this too. Don't mix things up, just one end. Now flip on the other side. Pull the needle through so it's on the cord. We move this so I can see stitches, and we're going to do the same thing. Grab one after another. Lovely. Yeah, write down below how many stitches do you have for your thumb. That'd be interesting to know. Yeah, when it's all secure, I'm just pulling off the rest of this scrap yarn. Okay, so let's read it before we do anything. We have transferred the stitches, your number, whatever you had, and then we have to leave longer end of the yarn for later to wave in end and close the gap if needed. So we're talking over here about the yarn from the bowl. And then we're going to do this to close the gap. What does it mean to close the gap? Because over here, you know, when we have mitten, there is a section you could see, or maybe, yeah, it's a little bit bigger. So if you just knit in around, we will have that little hole. Is that something that we should worry about? At the end of the day, not really, because if you leave a longer end, you can nicely wave in end on the wrong side. But we're trying to do over here something that helps us maybe to avoid that. So what are we going to do? Lift the left leg off this stitch below the stitch on the right needle and knit. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so this is how we start. And let's see what to close the gap means. First it says, lift the left leg off the stitch below the stitch on right needle and knit. So let's figure it out. Over here we have a left needle, over here we have a right needle. So we know it's on the right needle and we need to find a stitch on the right needle. Is this the one? And we're actually looking to lift the left leg off the stitch below that stitch. So let's pull this thing. And we're looking for a stitch. So this is the right needle. I just pulled the needle through. We have a stitch on the right needle, and and below it we have a stitch. And we're going to lift the left leg of that stitch and knit. So we're just put it on the needle and knit. Okay, we've done that. Lovely, hopefully you saw that. Are you ready to next stage? Lift the bar between 2 stitches and knit. So now we have a bar between 2 stitches. So here is the bar between 2 stitches over here and knit. So we're trying to knit not through the hole but cross it. So like this. So you check the bar below, it's twisted. Remember when we did make one left? That's what we need to get. Lift the right leg of the stitch below the stitch on left needle. So now we have a stitch on the left needle and we're going to lift the leg, right leg of below stitch. And we're going to knit. Done. Place beginning of the round marker. Okay, and let's place the marker. The stitches over here are quite loose, but no worries, when we come back to it, we'll pull the end of the yarn and we will fix them. So I'm going to show you how to knit. Just double check that you have the yarn, you're checking, from the ball, because it's easy to mix things up over here. And what we're going to do, we're going to knit in the round, and we're going to repeat that round until we have the reached desired length. So that's quite simple. So what we're going to do, we call it a magic loop method. So basically we're knitting one side like this, and then when we finish we turn the work around, hold this needle and pull another one. If you had a shorter cord, it wouldn't take you that long. We start again. So just to tie the yarn, pull the back needle this way, so it's my right needle, and we knit other side. The same story. We turn around, hold this one, so you're accidentally not going to pull it, and pull the other one or push it. Now be very careful which end you're going to knit, because here we have the waving in end and this is from the ball. But now after first round, let's mark it. We're going to mark first stitch, but let's do something extra. We're going to mark the stitch so we'll know how many rounds we're going to knit for this thumb, because let's face it, we have to recreate it for the second one. So over here it's fine, do you see it? Lovely. And now which one is which? Pull the other one nicely. You can keep it on the left. Okay, so I'm ready to knit. You pull the yarn so it's tight. We're not stretching stitches. I have a tendency to do that. So, you know, no one is perfect at the beginning. We're just learning. Very good. Take the end like this and tuck it in inside. Lovely. So that way, hopefully we won't knit with the wrong yarn. So let's knit until we get a desired length. Now, hello, I hope you are doing well, and this is what I have. I think I'm happy with that length, and we're going to count how many rounds we have in the thumb, but I'm going to write down on a piece of paper because you will never remember. So let's count. Either you can count with a marker or without it. So let's go without it, and I write down without marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 28 rounds. Knit in the round, 28, no marker. And the next one is we're going to do thumb ribbing, and we're going to do knit 1 per 1. I add that because then we'll go to do tubular bind off, and as you have done already on this beauty, you know it's easier to kind of mark where you are when you're doing that thing. So as you can see, my position over here, I have the beginning of the round over here, so I need to just finish a round, and now we're going to knit 1, cheating or normal? Cheating, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, Now, I don't know how it happened, but if you actually count my stitches, I have 21, not 20. Let's be honest with you, what I'm going to do, I'm going to knit one. Let's do this. Put the stitch on it and pull that one over. So that way I don't have it. And then I do purl. So just in case you end up with odd number, even though the pattern says even, just you can adjust one. Nothing happens. And we're going to measure 3 lengths of this thumb. So, you know, when I put fingers like this, right, that'll be it. So I'm going to grab the fingers and just do 1, 2, 3. 3. Now, hopefully you remember, this is knit, this is purl, this is knit, this is purl. So we start with the knit column. We're going to as if to knit and slide. Now on the second stitch, we're going to put the needle through as if to purl, but we're pulling the whole thing through. Make it tight. Make sure that this is close. Then we're going to take the stitch as if to purl and then put the tapestry needle through between 2 stitches. Like this. Also tight, you see? I have it too loose. No worries, I'll probably have more to tidy up. And the next step, it will be to put that tapestry needle through the, you see, this is a purl stitch as if to knit, but pull it through. Okay? And I know we can start because if you look at this, we have a knit stitch, and this is a place when we repeat everything. I'm left with 2, and I'm going to slide them on tapestry needle. And now I'm going to catch on this one and this one. So you can see from the top stitches. Okay, so I'm going 1, put them back. You have them back. Not yet. Lovely, me neither. And now I have 4, so we should end up nicely. So we're going to take this, pull this thing through, keep it tight. This in between and through, and through. Now look at this. And through, and pull it nicely. This is how it works, but if you want to do a standard bind off that you feel that it's stretchy enough, go for it. I just wanted to have this fancy effect detailed over here. So as you can see, it covers all my thumb, but if I want to use my phone or anything like it, I just pull it down and I just pull it that too, and I can use my fingers. I hope you're going to enjoy it. Oh, something is sticking up. So just to compare, this is size 2 for me. It kind of fits the way it is. As you can see, it's a fitted thing. Size bigger, it's kind of looser, and you know, I like both the same. So play with it and see which one you like. I hope you enjoyed this one. Bye. Oh yeah, and don't forget to wave in ends and close the hole if you need.